Hi everybody, Cheryl and Lady coming to you from the Ladies Garden and Home. I thought it would be a great time for a garden tour, so I hope you join us. Well, it seems like the heat wave finally broke, and it's been actually quite lovely outside. A little bit humid, but not too bad. And I think that the growth has really started happening. Things aren't so stressed anymore. So I thought I'd start on this side of the garden this time. Okay, so over here behind this volunteer borage are my Midnight Snackers and Sun Gold cherry tomatoes. I've got some flowers and just a couple of little ones starting. My garden's a little bit late. If you remember, I was away for a while, so I didn't get my plants in until right at the end of May, some even in early June. Over here we've got broccoli just heading up now, and that flopped over onto this tomato plant back there, poor thing. So I am going to, after I harvest this head, which will probably be today because it's a little overripe, I am going to pull that plant, although the rest of them I'm going to keep for their side shoots. Those broccoli plants are starting to really produce some nice side shoots. The tomato plants behind them are growing nicely. And in here, in between the flowers, these are calendula. I planted some bush beans just to fill in some spots. That's actually garbanzo beans. And over here are some tricolor bush beans in front of the tomatoes and behind the broccoli. The garlic is just starting to yellow. It will probably be ready to harvest sometime this month. And as you can see, this trellising is working nicely. I have the poles there if they do need extra support. But this netting that I bought for like practically nothing, and I just threw over the wall, has been really working nicely the last couple of years. Over here I've got some New Guinea impatiens. They like the spot here. Some more volunteer borage and calendula. I've got some carrots going to seed and garlic on the perimeter as well. And in the middle here are cabbages, which I am going to be harvesting within a day or two. At least the ones that look the most ready. In these potato bags, something seems to be nibbling the leaves, although I'm really not that worried about it. It's not like I'm going to be eating the potato leaves. And I put some grass mulch on the top of the bags just to cover up the potatoes to make sure that they don't get sun and turn green, which means that they're not supposed to be eaten when potatoes are green. These are starting to yellow up a little bit too. I like to leave my potatoes to die completely back before I harvest out of the bags. I just like the potatoes to be able to grow to their maximum size before I harvest them. These potatoes here, I didn't plant them until May. So this is a second wave of potatoes here. And in here is a cauliflower that got eaten by a rabbit last fall, and then it just started to grow. I did use some BT. I'm not going to try to pronounce the Latin. I'll put it on the screen. on this and that cabbage. This was a transplant from another bed. It was getting in the way of the peppers, so I moved it. A golden acre cabbage, I believe. So I did try to stem the eating of the leaves by the cabbage moths. So well, the caterpillars from the cabbage moths. So let's see if that stops it. So this is exciting. If you saw the video I did a couple of weeks ago, it's only 2 weeks ago actually, I planted corn in what's called the hill or the mound method, and those are coming up. In that video I showed you how I covered them so that when they were seedlings they wouldn't be eaten like everything else in this bed had been. And they're looking pretty good. I just took the cover off about 3 days ago. These peas are quite done, and I have 3 yellow pear tomato plants that are really, really, really ready to go into the ground, and I'm going to plant them in these bags once I clear these out. Got one last pea coming on. The green beans are starting to really come on nicely, and I've got a lot of volunteer dill here, which is very nice. And this pepper looks a little stunted because I had it in a pot for a long time. This is where the big red acre cabbage was, which I harvested and I made coleslaw out of the other day, and then I planted this, so he'll catch up, I'm sure. Here's a pepper that was mismarked, the place where I bought it at, but this does not look like California Wonder peppers. These look like pepperoncinis. I haven't tried one yet. I hope it's a pepperoncini because, you know, I have very heartfelt sentiments towards my Mancini, the pepperoncini, who was my single seed challenge back in 2022. Here's more pepper plants behind the garlic. They're doing well. And these are California Wonders. I picked one just the other day. And here's a Cubanelle, and I've picked a couple of them from here. Nasturtiums coming on nicely too. More carrots going to flower, and some volunteer chamomile back there. These are 4 different kinds of beans. They're just a mixture that I shook up in my hand and seeded it that way. It's Scarlet Runner, Seychelles, Chinese noodle beans, and Kentucky Blue all mixed up in here. Pretty dahlia. And over there, the citronella plant, which was blooming. I have to deadhead it. Has these pretty little purple flowers. Over here, I had purchased 2 raspberry bushes. I don't know. I don't think they're supposed to look like this. They were bare root, and they haven't done anything since I put them in. Now, granted, it was just a couple of weeks ago, but anyway, in the interim, I figured let me fill this pot with some flowers, so I put some marigolds in here, and these are zinnias that are just starting to come up. Lobelia and pansies liking the shade. This is a beautiful basket that I did not design myself. I got this at the Garden Club's flower market. Isn't that pretty though? This is a little water feature that I am trying to keep filled for the insects and the little chipmunks and things that need water. And this is the ginger plant. Some of it's starting to die off, and I'm thinking of harvesting just a couple of, I guess, tubers from there and leaving the rest to grow on, because this is new growth. So this is the blueberry bush that I have tried to keep covered. As you can see, animals have gotten in anyway, and they've helped themselves to a bunch of blueberries. But I'm hoping some will be left for me. So I added these grow bags in this location this year, so this area to garden in is new for me. And I put in a ton of zucchini. I don't know, I had 12 plants and I decided to plant them all. And sweet potatoes over here. And these sweet potatoes the leaves were nibbled on by the groundhog. I saw him feasting in here one day. And anyway, the leaves are starting to grow back, so I hope that didn't stunt the sweet potatoes in any way. And over here, I ended up planting up those impatiens in this shady part of the yard. And I have begonias, and I'm not sure what this is called, but it sure is pretty. Pretty blue flowers. So I have them along the wall. This gets very little sun during the day. And then over here, this area gets even less sun. So this is where my house plants are. As you can see, even this little amount of sun kind of traumatized Anne. That's an anise plant. And but she's going to recover. She's got new growth on her. So does this is Mr. McKenna. He's a peace lily. So these leaves aren't looking too good, but he's got new growth. And then this is a fig named Sue. And let's see if I can find it. This year we do have a fig, but I can't find it now. Oh, don't tell me the squirrel ate it. Oh, there it is. There's another water feature I have for the birds, and they have been taking baths in here and absolutely loving it. Here in Mary's rose garden, I wanted to put this pot here to show you. I'm going to be potting up all of the roses in pots like that. I wanted to give you an idea what it's kind of going to look like. I haven't done that yet though. And I've got some spotting issue on the roses, and I'm going to have to look up what to do with that. Probably going to have to dust them with something. But boy, when they bloom, are they gorgeous. In this bed under the pine tree, I have some impatiens in here, some nasturtium. I planted some zinnia seeds just the other day. They're starting to sprout. Some marigolds, some moss rose, and then some wildflowers that I was given a packet of. I'm not really sure what they even are, but I scattered those. The bees sure do love this lavender. I finally cut some back. It was just overhanging this bed over here. By the time I got to this side, though, the bees were not very happy with me, so that's why St. Francis is still covered in lavender. Boy, does it make the bees happy. The medicinal flower garden is really starting to bloom, and I'm sure it's going to get even fuller now that it has some air and light after I harvested all of that lavender. But I'm not going to go into too much detail because I'm going to be doing a video soon on the purposes of these medicinal flowers. But what I have here is chamomile, calendula, lamb's ear, echinacea, St. John's wort, lemongrass, feverfew, more calendula. I put a fennel seedling that was a volunteer in here. And that's about it. Another volunteer carrot going to seed. In that corner, I've got some nasturtium growing. This is a pineapple tomato plant. I've got some carrots sprouting in the front of this bed. And then in the middle here, we've got eggplant. And that's just starting to flower. And cucumbers mixed in with peas and mint. And more chamomile. In this bed, the celery has really just taken over, and I have been harvesting and also cutting back some of the taller stalks that have that are really flowering now. The hoverflies and the bees love this, and it attracts a lot of pollinators in. And also, once the seeds dry, I just scatter them on the ground and they grow for next year, like here. All of the tomatoes in this bed are sauce tomatoes, except this one, the Jersey Breeze. In here we have San Marzanos, both determinate and indeterminate. We have, I believe, we have Amish paste. We have a striped paste tomato and a Canestrana de Luca, which is an unusual shaped tomato, but it makes really good tomato sauce. If you can see this cucumber here, it's probably about 4 inches. It's still pretty dark green, so I'm going to let it grow, but I'm going to keep a very close eye on it, because if cucumbers start turning yellow, they're overripe, they taste terrible, and they send a signal to the plant that they've done their job by producing viable seeds, and they stop producing. So it's very important to keep up on harvesting your cucumbers. You see these black and white bugs? That is a spotted lanternfly, and this is very, very bad. So I have been trying to squish them. Ugh, that's so gross. When I see them, they mostly like fruit plants, and they seem to be hanging out in this Virginia creeper. I hope they stay there and don't move over to my other plants. But these are new to the Northeast. We just started seeing them last year, and there's all kinds of warnings about them. If you see them, squish them, and I'm supposed to report it to my city, I guess, agriculture department. I don't know. I'll look it up and report them. The canna finally sprouted, and the leaves are so pretty. It's next to a coleus here and some verbena. Marigolds, not doing too well. And then down here I've got a volunteer borage. Here is bellflower, but the groundhog chewed that. I saw him do it. And some moss roses. Up here on the deck, we've got the sugar baby watermelon. That's got a bunch of its adult leaves now. In the green stalk, I've been pulling some of the lettuces that have been going to flower and bolting, and I've been placing patio tomatoes and basil, different types of basil. Some of the lettuce is still fine, and of course my red oak leaf lettuce never goes bitter, so I just love that. Cantaloupe is doing well. It liked the heat very much, and the strawberries did not like the heat very much, and they for a little while stopped flowering so profusely. I have this fungus back. I had this last year and I had to treat it with fungicide, and I was hoping it wouldn't come back, but it did. So I've been pulling the leaves and just throwing them in the garbage. I'm not going to compost that, but it's time to treat that again. I have this organic fungicide spray, and the geraniums are looking pretty, and just a random volunteer chamomile and a random volunteer red maple. Ooh, this one's ready to eat. Here's all the lavender I harvested yesterday. Since it's not going to rain, I just figured let me leave it out here for a while until I have time to dry it properly. These patio tomatoes are coming along well. Got little babies growing. And the basil, the sweet Thai basil, the lemon basil, purple opal basil, Italian flat leaf, holy basil, and cinnamon basil, I've already been harvesting and using that. I like putting it in lemon water. It's so good. Parsley's flowering, and the pollinators love this. And the oregano, I've already harvested it pretty hard once. And we've got some thyme back there and catnip. And next to the parsley we have cilantro, and over here is lemon balm. It's going to flower right now. We've got some dill, sage, rosemary, thyme, and chives. And this chive plant was horribly attacked. So this time in starting seeds, I thought I'd try a different method, and that is to just heavily seed one large tray like this, and then as they sprout, I'll pot them up earlier than I normally do. I just planted these. When did I sow them? Uh-oh, I pulled one up see, this is why I shouldn't have removed the plastic. Oh, a little sprout. All right, let's get you back in the ground. Okay. Anyway, what I have in here is all my fall crops. We've got bok choy, we've got a Chinese cabbage, which I can't pronounce, Michahili, I think. I've got cilantro and parsley growing. I've got golden acre and red acre cabbage, self-blanching cauliflower, Groninger Brussels sprouts, green sprouting calabrese, purple sprouting broccoli, Romanesco broccoli, which is a really cool, it's more like a cauliflower, but it kind of looks like the surface of a very strange planet. Leeks, and I've got 3 different kinds of beets growing. So that will be the fall garden, hopefully. And I started these all inside because it really is way too hot for them. As you can see, I have a lot to to do, a lot to keep up with, as we all do this time of year, with watering and pruning and harvesting and watching out for pests and that kind of stuff. So I'd like to invite you actually to take a look at my playlist of summer gardening tips series I did last year, taking each one of those tasks and just kind of individually breaking it down on the best practices that I use. I hope that'll be helpful for you. And I'd like to thank you for watching this video, and if you liked it, please give it a like. And I hope you subscribe and join our growing community. And from the Ladies Garden Home, enjoy your gardening journey. Oh, say goodbye, lady. Lady says goodbye.